Pico here, and we're about to sit down with Paul, the associate producer for League of Legends.
Over the last 2 months, there's been like a really big influx of new champions released. I'm just wondering if you guys are planning to keep up with that pace, or if you're planning to slow it down a bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one that we get a lot. Right now, there's no plans to kind of slow down. Our players have really given us the feedback that we enjoy new content, and we feel in terms of the realm of ideas, there's a lot more we can explore in terms of archetypes, in terms of roles, in terms of design. Ideas can come from anywhere, and I feel with like kind of the sky the limit, being the limit in terms of places to play, we're going to continue to make creative stuff. Like I was saying earlier, Draven who's our latest champion, really came from just a conversation we were having about, hey, how come we don't have a really narcissistic showman in our game? And we started talking about it like a Randy Macho Man Savage or a Ric Flair from wrestling, just someone who comes in and goes, woo, just wows you with his skills. And so that led a concept artist to draw a picture of what became Draven and his axes, and a designer saw those axes and said, wouldn't it be cool if you juggled them off your face? And really, because you can have that such freeform type of exploration, feel like we're not going to run out of ideas anytime soon. However, if the time comes where we feel that, the game might need to slow down or the players aren't as receptive to that, then we'll look at that seriously and decide to cross that bridge. But right now, I think there's a lot more we can do.
So, with Draven's new higher skill cap juggling mechanic, cool mechanics like that sort of overshadow the older champions that sort of rely on point-and-click type abilities. Do you have any plans on revamping those or continuing to develop champions that utilize similar interesting mechanics?
Sure. So we're going to definitely continue to push the bar in terms of doing unique and interesting things with our champion. The key thing is there's unique for the sake of being unique, right? Which doesn't always equal fun. And then there's kind of a unique take on something that equals a feeling that something really feels good. I think Ziggs is a prime example of this. Ziggs, if you kind of break him down, Theorycraft style, it's kind of just a mage, right? He just blows you up. But the way his bombs bounces, the way his personality comes out when he's walking around in his VO, it makes him a little bit greater than the sum of all his parts. I think there's a lot of exploration that we can do there and do cool things. In terms of older champions, we have a live design team that's constantly playing and balancing the game overall for all of our new and our old characters. Champion team actually works really close with live design team to kind of gauge, what's going to happen when we release new champions into the wild. And so with that, we're looking at everything holistically. And so historically, we've done some things to older champions to make them feel fresh or more relevant if they drop off. Like we did last year, remade Tryndamere, we remade Kayle, we remade Alistair, as well as art remakes to older champions that just don't look as good because we've learned how to do art better in the past few years. But overall, it comes to how are they being played? Do we feel and do the fans feel like there's more that we can do with the champions, and we look at them.
Are you concerned that with champions that utilize higher skill-based mechanics like this, that the lower skill cap players are going to be sort of intimidated by these new champions, or are you hoping that people are just going to be willing to jump right into them?
No, it's a good question. So I think what's cool is that because we're releasing things every couple of weeks, not every champion is going to fit every person, right? But since we release a lot over the course of a long period of time, there seems to be the opportunity to have a champion that you may like and pick him up. And there's always the kind of the free week where you can try out something high skilled and realize if you like it or not. So I think we have a wide spread of like high skill, mid, and low skill that are all fun that people can choose from, and they have the power to choose that. I think with the breadth of things that we release, there's really options for everybody. And as people play the game more and level up, things that were intimidating a couple months of them might just become normal to them later. So, whenever champions release, we are closely watching the forums, closely watching League of Legends Reddit. We're closely watching, bug reports and stuff like that to see like how is this being received, how is this being played, and we make our decisions accordingly. In case of Darius, right, we made a change to his ultimate this past patch because we saw the patterns, right? We made his cooldown, we made his ultimate only refresh the cooldown when you get the kill on, with it, as opposed to it wasn't doing that before. So, we pay attention to those things and make changes accordingly. So we work with the live design team, and live design pays attention and makes recommendations, and we all kind of decide together to go forward. So that's in terms of kind of champions that are released, but I can't remember the first part of the question, or did I get it all? How many? I think we're in the 90s. We're in the 90s right now. Yeah.
With no plans to slow down. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have a question. Just when you were speaking about variation earlier in terms of player skill levels,
yeah.
Going back to the variation aspect, you guys have all kinds of different types of carries, types of supports, types of tanks in terms of like mobility or magic resist. Are there any character types that you're hoping to focus on with the next set of champions, or any types that you think are sort of not well represented that should be boosted?
Sure. So I can't speak specifically to what we're going to release, but I'll just tell you the overall philosophy we have for kind of figuring out what we should make is really kind of looking at the overall amount of champions that we have in the game and their role distribution, and looking when was the last time we released X. So for example, with Lulu, our fans have been going, where's another support, right? It's been a long time since we made a support. Why don't you have a support? And the thing there was we were working on one, and it took a long time to iterate and find the right kind of one to make. Support is a challenging role to design for sometimes, because you got to make the balance of heroism with you are helping your team, right? And I'm not Morello, so I can't get into the nuances of live design, but like there's been a lot of debate about Soraka, right? And just she being a sustain machine, and is that the right type of support you want to make? So figuring out like nuances in that role to make them really fun, but yet kind of mix up like the idea of a support is challenging. So we look at the whole kind of 3 to 4, 6 months out and try to determine like, hey, what would kind of be best for the player base based on what we do and don't have, or things we want to mix up. But that's just kind of a loose framework, right? If something's not fun, we're gonna hold on to it and work on it, and something else might come up, right? So it's not a strict science. It's more alchemy than anything. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Very
okay.
cool.